Oh. All right.
Alan? It's working, believe it or not, despite my best attempt.
Okay. Okay, it's 7 p.m. I'm calling the special meeting of the North Whitby Park and Recreation District to order on 23rd of September 2014. We only have two items on the agenda: the budget and the energy conservation report. Now, when we were doing, so you're telling me what was happening. The energy report we really should do next meeting because they're going to come up
They want to come in and discuss the reasoning and the whole.
So, do we agree to defer the energy
Yeah.
report to the next regular meeting of the? Because there's nothing really to talk about if they're not here.
So, do we need a motion for that? Since it was an item on a open public meeting.
If you'd like a motion,
I'd like to make a motion that we defer discussing the environmental report till the next open public meeting, regularly scheduled public meeting.
Okay, when the people are there, right?
Yes.
Seconder?
Second.
Wendy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it is. So the only item on the agenda is the budget. Now, Gino, do you want me to go through what we talked about, or do you want to do it?
Please, if you can.
Sure. I think everybody has a copy of the proposed budget for 2015. What we've done is we've gone through the QuickBooks, or what you did was to go through the QuickBooks with all of the items over the years. We did this in the workshop. Whenever was that, in the fall or the spring, or when was the
We had two
workshop?
workshops.
Yeah.
It was the spring.
Yeah, we went through this in the workshop.
Yeah.
And so what we came up with were categories of expenditures. And what this proposed budget does is build on our workshops, so that if you go to page 1 of the 2015 budget, what you'll see is the income up at the top for next year, estimated obviously. And then halfway down the page, there's 313,181. That is the number for the general administrative costs worked out from the group worked out in the workshop. Okay, so what we did was we put a number of items together, and when we totaled up those items here on the, it comes up to that number. And for pool operations, it comes up to 317. And so the bottom number, then the lifeguards are $92,000 for the year, extrapolating from the other years and what seems reasonable. And so that the total expenditures for pool operations, which this is a new one, is $72,600,181. That is about equivalent to the levy income, general admission revenue, recreational revenue, and special events revenue for the district. Okay? So that's the first principle. Is that, so that then on page 2, what we have is we have a number of programs. We have capital rents and concessions and capital reserve, which are separate, but then the programs are there. And what we've done is we've required a balanced budget in all of the programs except aquatics. And aquatics has the swim school revenue in it, and it has the Red Cross revenue in it. And so what the budget, I think, Gino, the budget is to show the aquatics is to show a profit, and we need that profit to balance the budget at the front page. Okay, so that's basically what it is. And these other numbers are the numbers which we have this year, or were standard expenditures over the last 5. Okay, so that's basically what it was. Is that right? Any questions?
So, explaining this the way I read it and the way I went over it with you. The far right-hand column is my expenditures.
Yes.
The column next to that to the left is revenue.
Yes.
And then, as far as these
The first 2 columns?
aquatics goes,
Yes.
that's also, once again, profit on the third line over, and then cost on the final line to my left, correct? So the $125,086 is the cost of
That's right.
aquatics. And the ARC in the swim lessons
Is the revenue.
Revenues.
So
Thank you very
it's
much.
approximately $7,000
surplus.
Yes, surplus, okay.
Well, not accounting for overhead.
Yeah, well, that's in the front page.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, I mean, to be cleared up. Okay.
You could confuse me very quickly. I've got a short briefing here on this.
Not my intention.
I have the numbers for other years here. If you
I
want to pay
have what you gave me.
at our workshop. Okay.
Well, it was the last meeting.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so,
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Yeah, thank you.
our job tonight, if there are no, well, our job tonight is to approve a budget. To approve the budget if we're willing, or to not approve it, which point we've got to really do some work to get something we can approve to the county, because they have to be in next month, in October. What's your wish?
Quick question. We have nothing under head cashier.
Thank you.
There's a blank there.
Gino says I work for free.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's,
Violates a state right to suffer.
Right.
So that would
No.
be a bad thing.
the reason for that is that the head cashier position didn't get funded until 2012. And so we have to change that. It was a new position. I don't know what they had instead of it. In 2013.
So what are our projected costs for that?
The question is, where were they hidden in 2010, which was the year that we used for the general administration?
And we couldn't find it.
It's under, I think it's under cashiers at $47,000. So yours would be broken out of that. It'd be 35,000, I guess, I don't know how much it is for each.
Well, I
Gino
know
would know.
that it ends up being 46,000 and some change, assuming that the cashier at the desk was always paid minimum wage, that there was one cashier strictly for the hours we're open. That doesn't take into account the minutes before opening and the minutes after closing when we're waiting for people to exit. It also doesn't take into account like swim school registration days where we often have 2 cashiers for the majority of the day. So even at that 47,000,
Yes.
including all of it, that's a little short of what it would need to be.
So you see the 47,824 as being short.
Now, is yours in that, Julie, or is yours separate from that?
Well, I've seen it listed, I think on the current budget, it's listed separately.
Yes. But
But yeah,
the-
that 47,000 though, that's not going to be an accurate
Okay.
reflection because I know that Trish makes well above minimum wage.
Okay.
She makes almost as much as I do just because she's been here so long.
Okay, what we have is in 2014, the cashiers had 13,000. Well, that's a partial year, so it's 38,500 was 2013. And the head cashier was 17,000 for 55,000.
And that's probably about accurate. I think I'm working a few more hours a week than previous senior cashiers, just because I have some additional responsibilities that they didn't have. But I think if I were to average my monthly bring home pay, it probably works out to about 18,000 a year.
What do you want to do, Chief? Can we take something out of one of the other categories in this item to keep the same number, or do we have to adjust the number
We have to adjust on that.
right now? Have the other numbers been vetted by the people that are working in the areas? So this is the only one that's a surprise? I hope.
I haven't seen this before. It's organized.
So since it's balanced, how are we gonna rob Peter to pay Paul?
Well, some of it will come out of the cashier to move down into head cashier, but not quite all of it.
So, looking at the numbers, how much over we're gonna be? So you said we spent 35 on cashiers last year? Approximately?
55, it looks like
56.
55, yeah, 56, right,
Between the two in 2013.
yeah,
22.
Between.
That's
yeah,
cashiers
both-
and head cashier.
Correct.
yes. And here we have, that would be 9,000, it would be $10,000 that we're essentially looking at, or $9,000.
And I think you'll see some less in the regular cashier amount. The group I have right now, I don't anticipate any of them leaving. And I know that last year and the beginning of this year, we hired a lot of new cashiers, so there was a lot of training expense in there. I would anticipate less of that.
You're going to have to live with these numbers once they're set, and so if we made the total 52,824, just because would that be something reasonable, Gino, or, and then we have to find $5,000 somewhere in the budget? Would that be,
Yeah, what that means is we have to work within the budget for the first year. Okay.
yeah.
I can see the budget, I can see an easy place to find 5,000,
Where's that?
travel. What do we use our travel budget for?
Gino, what's the travel budget for?
Is that for the coaches going to swim meets and so on?
Well, that should be underneath the swim teams.
So if that's not the travel for that, is that for you guys, like you and Matt going to those pool operator classes?
Yeah, I would take some of that money out of the travel.
If we made travel 3805, that'd be too easy a way of doing it, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
But it would balance it. Is 3805 a reasonable number for travel? It's varied from, it was 3,709 in 2012,
How much was it?
3,709 in 2012,
You betcha.
and 6,900 in 2009. What do you think, Gino? This is your judgment call.
Take out the travel.
Okay, because the swim team travel would be against the swim team costs.
Correct.
Okay, well, that gets at
Well,
least,
and this is only.
Because, you know,
Yes, that's
So,
true.
yeah.
So we're looking at
a
4.
lot of traveling, there's only a few of us that
okay.
go to
So-
the training.
So we'll balance out the head cashier with the money coming out of travel. So travel will go to 3805, and that 5,000 will go up towards the head cashier and cashiers, which are combined, so that'll be 52,824, correct?
Do you feel comfortable with that?
Gino, can you live with it? It's going to be a tight year, I can tell you right now, so you're going to have to figure out how to stretch it.
Customer service will sacrifice a little bit, but I think we can make some adjustments that will make it work.
Okay.
So you feel comfortable saying yes to that number?
Not terribly, but
That's the right feeling, you're never
You know
supposed
what,
to
do you
be.
guys need like 5 or 10 minutes?
Do you want to look at it in more detail?
Because
I mean,
think we're
that's
pushing-
fair.
think we're pushing you down a road that I don't feel comfortable pushing you down.
we
And I
have-
would prefer to give you 5 or 10 minutes
Yeah,
if you
I think
guys would like to
numbers
discuss it back here.
If you guys want to go back.
I think you guys should go discuss it for 5 or 10 minutes.
he doesn't want to move.
He doesn't want to
But
move.
you know what? Hold on. We can take, stop. Why don't we take a recess?
That's fine.
That way Gino doesn't have to get up.
That's fine.
Does
I
anybody
just, I don't
Vicky,
want
do you
to,
mind?
I don't want to push you guys.
Vicky,
I think it's unfair.
do you mind if we all leave so they can talk? I made a motion that we take a 10 or
Yeah,
5.
5 minutes?
It's
10.
10.
Let's make a
It's
10-minute
10.
10-minute recess.
I second that.
All in favor? Oh, sorry. I went back to my old shoes, yeah.
Aye, yeah, I'm in.
We're all in.
Aye.
Did we stop that recording?
No, let us stop the recording. That's a good question. Thank you.
Good eye.
Wait a minute. No, I didn't. Hold on. Still not. This one's acting up. If you can get it to stop, that's great. I'm gonna leave it with you. I'll walk out of the window.
Great.
All right?
I like that.
That way you guys can talk. I'll close the door.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because you press stop and it still's. Is that the power button? Pause.